Good evening, everyone. So I am Ravindra Bagade, lecturer in physics from Sri Gussideswara Degree College, Koppal. Today I would like to take a lecture on astrophysics chapter, so which belongs to paper Physics 6.1 for BSc PCM students. Astrophysics. So scope of astronomy and astrophysics. The universe means all existing things created. So this universe consists of billion of stars, galaxies, and each galaxy consists of billion of stars. The sun is one of the stars, so which belongs to Milky Way galaxy. So we know that solar system consists of 9 planets revolving around the sun. The branch of science that deals with the study of heavenly bodies constituting the universe is called astronomy, or the science that deals with the study of heavenly bodies in respect of their motion, position, composition, brightness, and other related aspects is called as astronomy. The astrophysics is the branch of astronomy which explains the properties of stars, galaxy, and universe by using principles of physics. So during the cloudless clear night, if you look at the sky, so you are able to see thousands of twinkling stars. So beautiful sight to behold. Some may be bright, and some of them may be faint. They appear so because of their far off distances. Actually, they may be brighter than that of the sun, near to the earth. So with the naked eyes, that without any optical instruments, one can see about 6,000 stars. Through the telescope, all the stars appear to be the same size and the same distance away, but they differ in their brightness and color. For example, stars like Sirius are very bright, whereas the stars like Arcturus and Betelgeuse are reddish, and other stars are yellow like sun. So regardless of their far off distances and apparent pinpoint size, so you can study the nature of the stars by analyzing the small amount of light received from them. From the spectra of the stars, so like solar spectrum, so you can study the physical properties like color, mass, size, temperature, composition, etc. So this is the view of clear night sky, so viewed through telescopes, where some of the stars are bright, some of the stars are faint, some of the stars are blue, and different color stars are present here. Next, the star distances and magnitude. The brightness of the star is measured in terms of the scale known as magnitude. It is the measure of brightness of the star as observed from the earth. This scale was devised in the 2nd century before Christ by a Greek astronomer Hipparchus. He classified the stars according to their apparent brightness and grouped of about 1,000 stars into 6 groups. In this scale, the brightest visible star is taken to be first magnitude. Next, the second magnitude, so which is having brightness half of the stars of first magnitude, and so on. The faintest star is called 6th magnitude. So based on the telescopic observations, astronomers extended the aperture scale to include the fainter stars, so which could be observed through telescopes. Here what happens, brighter the star, smaller is the magnitude. So there are 2 types of magnitudes. First one, apparent magnitude. Second one, absolute magnitude. So apparent magnitude, the brightness of the stars that appears to us when observed from the Earth is called as apparent brightness or apparent magnitude. The apparent brightness is not actual brightness. It is measured without considering the star distances from the Earth. So it is not actual brightness of the stars because of the brightness depends upon two factors, actual or absolute brightness or at the distance of the star from us. The magnitude based on the apparent brightness is called apparent magnitude. The apparent magnitude is the measure of light energy based on its surface, and it is directly related to the apparent brightness. So in 1856, N.R. Poisson defined the magnitude of star by taking the ratio of brightness of the first magnitude star to that of the sixth magnitude as 100:1. In this scale, the magnitude difference of 5 corresponds to a factor of 100 in brightness, and a magnitude difference of 1 corresponds to a factor of 2.512. So that first magnitude is 2.512:0, second magnitude is 2.512:1, third magnitude is 2.512:2, fourth, and so on and so forth. Sixth magnitude is 2.512:5. So that is how 2.512 value comes. So we are calculating here. So let B1 and B2 be the brightness of two stars. So which are brightness of two stars? So which are first and second magnitude respectively. So then, so B1 to the ratio of B1 to B6 is equal to 100. So so let us assume B1 by B2 is equal to B2 by B3 is equal to B3 by B4 ratio is equal to B4 by B5 ratio is equal to B5 by B6 as equal to X. Then if you multiply all these 5 terms, then what happens? B1 by B6 ratio becomes equal to X raised to 5. So find out X here. So X is evaluated to be 2.512. So thus the brightness of two stars whose magnitude differ is equal to 2.512. So if BM and BN be the brightness of two stars having magnitude same and n respectively, then BM by BN ratio is equal to 2.512 n minus m. So here n is greater than m. Take log on both sides and simplify. We arrive at this equation, that is BM by BN is equal to 10 raised to 0.4 into bracket n minus m bracket over. So thus the above equation shows that the higher the magnitude, lower the brightness of the stars, and vice versa. So accordingly, the apparent magnitude of in bright star is Sirius is minus 1.414. So Venus is highest with a magnitude of minus 4.4. The Sun has minus 26.8. So this means that Sun appears to be more than 10 billion times brighter than. So Sun is having brightness 10 billion times brighter than other stars such as Sirius and Venus. So next, absolute magnitude. The magnitude scale of brightness does not give actual value, as the stars are situated at different distances. Now the stars at a larger distance appear faint, even though they are having more luminous or brighter than the nearer one, and vice versa. The astronomer devised another scale to remove this distance parameter error. So that is absolute magnitude. So now the luminosities of different stars are compared by setting all the stars at the same distance of 10 per second. So which is equal to 32.6 light years. So means 1 per second is equal to 3.26 light years. The quantity which gives the actual star energy output or the luminosity is called as absolute magnitude. So if we know the actual distance of the stars from the Earth, we can compare their luminosities by referring them to any chosen distance from us. For such comparison of the luminosities of the stars, astronomer I have selected a standard distance, that is 10 per second. So thus the absolute magnitude of a star is defined as its apparent magnitude. So would be if it were placed at a distance of 10 per second. The absolute magnitude of the star depends on its magnitude or intrinsic brightness, but not on its actual distance. Consider two stars actual distance. So now consider two stars, let small m and small n small m and capital M be the small m and capital M be the apparent magnitude of apparent magnitude. So B small m and D small d for the second star, capital M B capital M and D capital D be their quantities. Then so we can arrive by using above derived equation m minus m is equal to 2.512 log of B small m to the B capital M. So by inverse square law, you know that brightness of small m is proportional to 1 by small d square, and brightness of capital M is inversely proportional to capital D square. So substitute Bm as 1 by d square and capital Bm as 1 by capital D square. We get Bm by B small m divided by B capital M is equal to D capital D square by small d square. So now the equation 1 becomes capital M minus m is equal to 2.512 log of capital D square by d square. So simplify and substitute d is equal to 10 per second. So we arrive at the equation capital M minus m is equal to pi into bracket 1 minus log d bracket close, that is equal to pi minus pi log d. So small m minus m. So rearrange the equation, small m minus capital M is equal to pi log d minus phi, that is so equation 2. So this equation 2, so our above equation gives the relation between apparent magnitude. So small m is apparent magnitude here, so capital M is absolute magnitude. So the above equation gives the relation between apparent magnitude and absolute magnitude of the star. So if apparent magnitude is known, we can determine the absolute magnitude of the star by using above equation. Next, stellar distances. There are different units to measure stellar distances. So first one, astronomical unit. The distance between Sun and Earth is about 1.5 into 10 raised to 8 kilometers. So which itself is taken as 1 astronomical unit, that is 1 AU is equal to 1.5 into 10 raised to 8 kilometers. To light year, the distance traveled by the light in 1 year is known as 1 light year. So for 1 year we have 365 days into, for 1 day we have 24 hours. So for 1 day 60 minutes, and for 60 hours. For 1 hour, so for 1 year 365 days, multiply it by 24 hours for 1 day, for 1 hour 60 minutes, for 1 minute 60 seconds. So multiply all these, you will get time for 1 year in seconds. So we know that the velocity of light through in vacuum, c is equal to 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So 1 light year is equal to 365 into 24 into 60 into 3 into 10 raised to 8 is equal to 9.5 into 10 raised to 15 meter, or 9.5 into 10 raised to 12 kilometer. So 1 light year is equal to 9.5 into 10 raised to 12 divided by 1.5 into 10 raised to 8. That is 63,300 Armstrong units. So the 1 light year is equal to 9.5 into 10 raised to 12 divided by 1.5 into 10 raised to 8. 63,300 astronomical unit AU. So next, per second, third one, per second. So per second unit used for expressing distances to stars and galaxies used by professional astronomers It represents the distance at which the radius of the Earth orbit subtends at an angle of 1 second of arc. So the star at a distance of 1 per second would have a parallax of 1 second. And the distance of an object in per seconds is reciprocal of its parallax in seconds of arc. For example, the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, has a parallax of 0.769 second of an arc, and inverse of that is that gives 1.30 per second. So 1 per second is equals to 3.26 light years, which is equal to 3.09 into 10 raised to 13 kilometers. So 1 per second, if we divided 3.09 into 10 raised to 13 divided by distance between Sun and Earth, that is 9.5 into 10 raised to 12, we will get 3.26 light years. So the next, luminosity of stars. The luminosity of stars is measure of the total amount of energy that is radiated from its source in 1 second. Though the energy given out by all the stars is due to thermonuclear fission, but the amount of energy given out by them is different. That is, the luminosity of all the stars is different. That is, the luminosity of different stars is measured in terms of sun's luminosity, L sun, or in terms of watt. Here, one L sun means luminosity of one luminosity of sun. One luminosity of sun is taken to be 3.9 into 10 raised to 26 watt. That is measured value. The luminosity of the stars helps us to study their internal structure and their future evolution. The luminosity of the stars is defined as the amount of energy passing normally through the unit area held perpendicular to the radiation. So according to Stefan's-Boltzmann law, the expression for luminosity is given by L is equal to 4 pi r square is sigma Ts raised to 4. So 4 pi r square is surface area of the star having radius r, sigma is Stefan's constant, so T is absolute temperature of the star. The apparent brightness P of a star is defined as the ratio of luminosity of the surface area of the sphere of the radius D. So surface area of this sphere of radius is 4 pi d square. So B is equal to L by 4 pi d square gives the apparent brightness. So take the D sun be the distance of the sun from the Earth, and L sun be the luminosity of the sun. Then the equation 1 can be written as B sun is equal to L sun divided by 4 pi D sun square. So here D sun is distance between sun and Earth, L sun is luminosity of the sun, so B sun is brightness of the sun. So therefore L sun is equal to, we can write a 4 pi D sun square into B sun. So that is equation 2. So dividing equation 2 by 1 and arranging the terms, we get luminosity of any star L is equal to square of the ratio of relative distance, that is d by d sun square, into relative brightness of star to sun, d by b sun into L sun. So thus, by knowing the relative distance d by d sun and the relative brightness b by b sun, so we can determine the luminosity of the star. So the luminosity of the stars varies from 10 raised to 6 L sun to 10 raised to minus 4 L sun. So that is the luminosity. That is about the luminosity of the stars. Next, color and surface temperature of the stars. So we know that there is a relationship between the temperature of a body and the color. Thus, the star's color is directly related to the surface temperature of the star. For example, the stars having temperature 2500 Kelvin appear red in color. The stars having temperature 28,000 Kelvin appear blue in color. Our sun having surface temperature of 6,000 Kelvin appear yellow in color. So the temperature of the color of the star determines the temperature. The temperature of the stars can be determined by Wales displacement law for a particular maximum wavelength of the color. So lambda max into T is equal to 0.029 meter Kelvin. So the diagram shows the color of the stars and their temperature. So this we are classifying the stars into six groups. O class spectra star is having about 15,000 Kelvin, so which is dark blue in color. Next, B class star is having 20,000 Kelvin temperature, so which is blue in color. Next, E class star, there is 10,000 Kelvin temperature, which is light blue. So for F class star 7,500 Kelvin, G class star 6,000 Kelvin, K class star 4,000 Kelvin, M class star 3,500 Kelvin. So the diagram shows the color of the star depends upon the temperature. So stellar spectra and classification of stars. Spectra of every star is continuous emission of spectrum crossed with same dark lines, some dark lines. So every star consists of a photosphere, so which is the central portion of the star. So you know that photo means light. The photosphere is surrounded by another layer called reversing layer, so which is comparatively cooler than photosphere. The reversing layer contains different elements. So this picture depicts star. So we are going to first at center photosphere of the sun, so which is one of the star. So at center there is a core. So outside the core there is a layer of radiative zone. So this radiative zone is covered by convective zone. So next this convective zone is covered by chromosphere. So next this chromosphere is covered by transition. So next transition sphere is covered by transition zone is covered by corona. So this whole zones constitute a what do you call it as photosphere. So surrounding this photosphere, reversing layer lies. Okay. So next, the photosphere emits continuous spectrum of all possible colors, all possible wavelengths. So the radiations of certain wavelengths are absorbed by elements present in the reversing layer. As a result of it, some kind of dark absorption lines are present in the continuous spectrum of stars. So the above picture, so this stellar spectra, so thus observed. So we can classify it into 6 types, 7 types: O, B, A, F, G, K, and M. So class O spectra, it represents the hottest temperature of the star, having temperatures in the range 20,000 Kelvin to 30,000 Kelvin. These stars are bluish in color, dark bluish in color, and their spectra so reveal that they contain ionized helium, hydrogen, and calcium in their reversing layer. So here, so this is O class spectrum, O class spectra stars, which are having 30,000 Kelvin temperature. So 20,000 Kelvin temperature is of B class spectra stars, so which contains helium and carbon in their reversing layer. This O class spectra contains hydrogen and helium lines. Next, A class spectra stars contain iron and calcium in their reversing layer. They are of temperature 10,000 Kelvin. Next, the F class spectra stars contain oxygen, iron, magnesium, and sodium in their reversing layer. So, presence of these elements, because of presence of these elements, dark lines are observed in the F class spectra. So the temperature is about 7,000 Kelvin. Next, 6,000 Kelvin for G class spectra. So these will contain oxygen in the reversing length. Next, K class spectra is 4,000 Kelvin. So and M class spectra stars 3,000 Kelvin. They include some ionized metals and other molecules. So this is a view of different. So this one what dark blue. So A class spectra star appear dark blue. B class spectra blue color. Next A class spectra light blue. F class spectra white. Next G class spectra yellow in color. Next K class spectra orange, red. M class spectra red. So our sun belongs to G class spectra, so which is having 6000 Kelvin temperature and its color is yellow. Okay. So class B spectra, the surface temperature of the stars belonging to this class ranges from 15,000 to. So next class F spectra, the surface of temperature of the stars ranges from 6500 to 7500. The stars appear white in color. Next class G spectra, the surface temperature of the class G spectra is of the order of 5800 Kelvin and they are yellowish in color. The hydrogen lines further decrease and numerous metallic lines are show up in the spectrum. Next class K spectra, the surface temperature of the stars belonging to this class is of the order of 4500 Kelvin. The stars are orange in color. The star in this class have bands due to presence of hydrocarbons. So class M spectra, the surface temperature of the stars is about 3500 Kelvin. So such stars appear red in color. Their spectra show absorption lines that indicate presence of titanium oxide element. So our sun belongs to G spectra. So maximum wavelength of this G spectra is 550 Armstrong degree. Okay. Next, Hertzsprung-Russell diagram or HR diagram. So in 1905, in the year 1905, Danish astronomer Einar Hertz and American astronomer Henry Norris Russell independently plotted the absolute magnitudes of different stars against their spectral line. They have taken luminosities along y-axis and stellar temperature along x-axis. Such a graph is known as Hertzsprung-Russell or HR diagram. From the graph, it is found that 90% of the stars lie along the diagonal running from left of the top to the right of the bottom. The stars lying on these are called as main sequence stars. Many well-known stars like the Sun, Sirius, Procyon, etc. belong to this strip. The Sun occupies almost middle position. The Sun is main sequence star. Our Sun belongs to main sequence star and it lies middle of the main sequence stars. The stars lying in the main sequence stars are called normal stars. In addition to the main sequence stars, there are a group of luminous stars, so which are found to occupy definite positions above and below the main sequence strip. So the other 10% of stars do not follow the main mass luminosity relation. As shown in the graph, there are three types: supergiants, giants, and subgiants. They are at the upper right of the diagram. These stars are very big because they are luminous even though they are cold. So this shows the HR diagram. So the stars lying in the diagonal, starting from upper left corner to lower right corner, is called main sequence stars. Okay. Our Sun lies at middle of this main sequence. The star lying at upper right, supergiants and giants. These stars are, even though they are luminous, they are cool. So the stars lying at the corner of left lower side, they are white dwarfs. So top to Left of the strip, there are two types of stars, namely white dwarfs and sub-dwarfs. Even though these white dwarfs, even though they are hot, they are dim. Therefore, they should be small in size as compared to main sequence stars. So that is why they are called white dwarfs. The HR diagram is an important diagram in astrophysics since the temperature, luminosity and size of the star are related to one another by relation. So L is equal to 4 pi r square sigma T raised to 4. We know that L is luminosity, R is the radius of the star, sigma is Stephan's constant, T is absolute temperature of the star. So the main importance of this HR diagram, it helps to tracing the evolution of the star. So the evolution of the stars means birth of the star, next aging of the star. So aging of this star includes the lifespan of the star and death of the star. So all this process takes a billion years. So that is the evolution of stars. So this is another HR diagram. Here main sequence stars. This strip is main sequence star strip. So in this strip, stars lying Spica, Vega, Sirius, Sun lies at the middle of the main sequence. So these are supergiants. Supergiants, example Rigel, Deneb, Betelgeuse. So the supergiants, red giants, Radarban, Arcturus, Pollux, Capella. So these are red giants. So at the lower side there is a white dwarfs, Sirius B, Procyon B examples. So this is the HR diagram drawn. So luminosity versus surface temperature of star. So thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation.